Hello and welcome back to this Next.js 15 tutorial series. In the previous video, we learned how to link between pages using the NextLink component for smooth client-side navigation. In this video, we are going to explore dynamic routes. Dynamic routes allow us to create pages that change based on the URL, which is very useful for apps with multiple items like blog posts, products, or user profiles. So what are dynamic routes? Normally, to create a page in Next.js, you create a folder with the page name, and inside it, you add a page file. For example, if you want an About page, you make a folder called About and add a page file inside it. This works fine for static pages like About or Dashboard. But imagine you have an online store with 100 products. For every product, there will be a product page, just like in most e-commerce websites where you see a product listing page, and when you click on a product, it takes you to a single page showing all the details about that product. Now, if you try to implement this in Next.js, does that mean you need to manually create a folder and a page file for every single product? Of course not. That would be the wrong way to do it. Creating 100 folders and 100 files doesn't make sense. Instead, we use something called dynamic routes. Dynamic routes mean that the page is generated dynamically and depends on the URL parameter. In Next.js, we create a dynamic route by using square brackets in the folder name. For example, if we want product pages, instead of making separate folders for product 1, product 2, product 3, and so on, we just create one folder called product, and inside it we add another folder with square brackets, like ID. Inside that, we place a single page file. Each product has its own ID, and in the URL we pass it like this: /product1, product with ID 1, /product2, product with ID 2, /product10, product with ID 10. This way, we only need one page, and the content will change depending on the product ID in the URL. Now let's see a practical example. Inside the app folder, create a new route called product. Then, inside it, create another folder using square brackets and name it ID. Inside this folder, we create a page file, and inside it, we export a simple function as the default export and call it product page. As we discussed before, the content of this page will depend on the URL parameter. This function will take params as an argument and return a simple JSX element, like a title showing the product ID. We use params.id because we named the folder ID. To test this, run the server and go to the browser. If you try to navigate to /product without an ID, you'll see an error saying the route is not found. Now add an ID, for example /product/1, and you'll see it display product ID 1. It correctly gets the product ID from the URL. Try /product/10, and it shows product ID 10. As a note, the navigation bar is still visible because we placed it in the layout file earlier. The idea should be clear now. One important thing, the parameter doesn't have to be a number. For example, if you try product/test, it will display product ID test. Whatever you put in the URL will appear here. This is exactly what we call a dynamic route. Now, what if we want to control the type of this parameter? For example, we may want only numbers as IDs, not strings. First, you might notice a TypeScript warning. Binding element params implicitly has an any type. This is not an error, it's just a warning. To fix it, we define the type of params. We can create an interface called product params with a params object that has an ID as a string. Then, in the function, we specify that params should follow this interface. Once we do this, the warning disappears. If you're using JavaScript, you won't see this warning. And that's one of the advantages of using TypeScript with Next.js. You get type safety and better control over your routes. Here, the best practice is add a const. Here, let's call it ID. Const ID equals params.id, and let's do that inside number. This converts the string into a number. Now, to make sure that ID is a number, add a check here if isNaN_ID. Here, after converting ID from string to number, if not a number, it will be a NaN. So we check if not a number, return an error. So throw new error. Invalid product ID must be a number. And let's run the server now and try again. Now let's try visit product test again. And you see it shows an error and says invalid product ID. Try visit product with a number ID and it works now. Just here, maybe it's not good to throw an error like this way. So it's preferred to return a clear error message. So here, after checking if ID is not a number instead of throwing an error, return a JSX. Return a simple h1 tag inside it with the error message. Try now, visit product with a string ID, and yeah, it shows the error message clearly now. So that's the idea. With this way, we control params type, and this not just to products. With dynamic routing, you can do the same for any other route where you expect numeric values. In real projects, you use this ID to fetch data from your database or API, and we will see examples for that in the upcoming video. I know this can be a bit tricky at first, so if anything isn't clear, leave a comment. If you found this helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for the next video.